Welcome to the Six-Figure Author Experiment, where we help you break through your first or next $100,000 goal. Parental discretion is advised. Now, let's get on with the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of the Six-Figure Author Experiment. In so much as they're all very special.
They're all so special. Thank you for
Yes.
being here. Thank you for listening, and thank you for all the great reviews you guys have been putting up on the internet.
Yes, we should pull them up one day and tell people like what people are saying. But like that takes a level of prep that I did not do for this episode.
They said good things, though. We can assure you that they all said good things. So
Wonderful things. So I have a thing that I have been thinking about. I had a coaching call yesterday, and no, I was whatever. I had a coaching call recently, and the person was like, I keep hitting this brick wall, and like I don't know how to break it down. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, that's interesting because like how often have you ever broken down a brick wall in your life?
no.
Like never, not one time have you outside of like a construction site, or like I guess if you're like you had like a destructive childhood, maybe like you broke down some stuff, but like in your adult life, when you hit brick walls, you find doors, you look for windows, you find alleyways, there are a million ways around that block. You say maybe I shouldn't go this way. Like uh but like you don't sit in front of the brick thing and say like where's the nearest sledgehammer? Like we as humans are designed to, and all animals are designed to do the thing with the least effort and get the maximum return. And like it's almost never breaking down a brick wall. Like there's all sorts of permits you need for that. That sounds horrible.
I love it. I've also been reading about releasing. We talked about blocks, releasing blocks, because the CraftCon is going on right now. And I was reading an article that said, listen, you might have this giant block that says, I am not enough. But and it's like this huge box or this huge brick wall, but you don't deal with it as the whole. You break it into pieces. So you brick by brick, or their analogy was you open the box and you see all the little memories and all the little vows you made as a kid, to beat yourself up so that you earn praise, so that you feel like you're enough. And you just start to dissolve those memories, you heal those memories, you reparent yourself. And then, so it's not this one big block belief. It's all these little ones, and it's like 50 squirrels in a trench coat. And you can deal with squirrel to squirrel. You can deal with the squirrel one by one.
Right, exactly. Well, it's interesting because, when we're 8, we put on the armor that an 8-year-old knows. So, like, it's not very good. It's not even very protective. Like, the weapons that they arm us with are like like the top of a garbage can and a stick. And then like we're 10 and we know a little bit better. And then we're 15 and then we're 18 and we're 20 and we keep armoring ourselves, but we never take the other stuff off.
Right.
And so over time, we get over encumbered. And because we have so many things going on, because we're being protected in all of this stuff. But like, so most of success is like adding stuff. Like we add like TikTok, we add this, we add all of this stuff. And then over time, we're like, I'm adding and it's not working. But like really the work of like once you hit that success is like addition by subtraction. You have to take off the armor. You have to be more exposed. You have to allow yourself to like experience the world more fully. And you have to be open to more partnerships because the initial success, you can hold on to everything.
Yes.
Like you're like, I know that all of the people who bought the books for the first like 2 years of my life, I know all the actions they took because there wasn't chaos. But in order to have that success last over time, you have to become more and more and more okay with the fact that you can only control the inputs, not the outputs.
Yeah. And most businesses require a lot more than one person.
Mm-hmm.
Even as a 7-figure author, I look at my business and it's pretty lean and mean. But I'm looking at my book process and going, how do I add people? How do I get more eyeballs on my manuscript to make it better? Leveling up and getting better is not a matter of me beating myself up and trying to drag myself over the finish line or climb over that brick wall. It is finding people to help me, finding people who have different perspectives, who remind me of what I already know, who can help me shape the story, who can help me craft the lines better, who can help me cut the name splaining and the info dump and the tighten the dialogue, whatever.
Right.
It's not just a copy edit and a proofread, but the dev edit, beta reads, alpha readers, line edits, multiple, just like as if I was a trad pub author, you know?
Right.
Those books have a lot of eyeballs on them. And I have a world-class luxury brand. So my books are going to have more eyeballs on them. And I'm lucky I can pay out of pocket for it and then keep all the royalties myself. So what I'd love to know, you were coaching this author who said, I have a brick wall. I know what I would say to them, because when you're facing that obstacle, the most cliched business advice is like, don't think about the obstacle, think past it, think to the solution. And even before you can do that, we were just talking before we hit record, you get to the state where you can just reach for a little bit of relief in the moment. You'd be like, well, this sucks, but at least my wrists don't hurt right now.
Right.
So I'll be able to type my way out of it. And just allowing that ease and relief flood in, your mind switches from fear to possibility and expansion. And then you are able to go, well, I'm having trouble writing the end, but who can I call who helps people finish their books? What software is there? Is there a coach I could talk this through with? Is there a craft book or podcast I can listen to remember what I already know? Can I just go for a walk and imagine holding my book in my hands and it's done and it's on bookshelves and it feels right? And you literally live the solution.
Yeah.
And then your mind at 3 a.m. in the middle of the night is like, oh yeah, you have to make sure that the character has agency and they have to solve this. So go add this to the beginning and then you can tie it off with payoff in the end. And it's 15 sentences you're adding to your manuscript, problem solved.
Right. Well,
that's what
yeah, I would say, all right, more esoterically, like where was the last time you turned off somewhere you weren't supposed to? Like you weren't meant, like you were never guiding towards a brick wall. Like you were guiding through what, like I think of like the streets of Barcelona. There's a ton of dead ends in the streets of Barcelona, especially the Gothic Quarter, but like you can get through it. And like a lot of it is like, oops, I didn't go that way. I got to go back to the place that like I was able to get through and understand that like the universe made a city, and that city made a path, and that path was not meant to end at a brick wall. Like it was meant to get you to the place that you want to go. And inside, you know the way that you're supposed to go. And you've been going this other way. And the universe, your body, whatever, your mindset has been telling you, this is not right. This is not right. You're not going the right way. And in more and more aggressive ways until it's like, look, dude, you're about to hit the castle and get arrested. So like there's a brick wall now. You can't go that way. So like you can only go the infinite number of other ways that exist.
And then that brick wall is a gift. That brick wall might be pain. I mean, it might be financial ruin. It might suck. It might be, I cannot be in this marriage anymore. Like it might be really intense. But it's actually an invitation to release what's not working and then level up. My sister did this. She would not let go of her dead end job, but she got in a new beautiful relationship. So she's feeling really good. And within a few months, her phone died, her car died, her living situation fell apart. And her boss fired her on Christmas Eve. And you might look at that and go like, wow, somebody upstairs hates you. But all of those were actually gifts. All of those were brick walls that were like, not this way anymore. She had to leave. She was planning on quitting her job, but she never would have quit. She would have been like, if you need me, just call me and I'll come in and do some hours. And that job was sucking away her soul. And so the best thing for her would be to be like, I quit. I'm blocking your number. I'm never stopping here again, ever. I'm putting up the brick wall, right? But she wouldn't do that. So she was in a great place. And if you want to get really woo-woo, energetically, she was up here and the job was down here. And so the universe was like, that's gone forever now. Not only did she get fired, it was right before COVID, and then her boss died of COVID. It was like really extreme. Like she will never work that job again. She will never get verbally abused by that woman again. Like
Right.
it is a giant brick wall, and it should be, because she got a dream job. She can work from home. She makes, tons more money. She's with her wonderful, beautiful partner. They're renovating a 6-bedroom Victorian house, and they're double income, no kids. So they're just building this dream home. She was able to replace her phone, her car. She already had a great boyfriend and her job. And he bought the big house and they moved in together.
Yeah. So have you read Brene Brown's new book yet? Strong Ground?
No.
Okay. So I just read it, and in it, towards the end, she talks about locking in and locking through, but not in the way that like we think about locking in. She's talking about like a lock in a river. So she went to an actual first of all, she talked about Rivers of London, which is one of my favorite mystery series. It's so good, like detective series. Um, but she's like, there's a lock in London where you move between different levels of water. So like some of it is fresh water, some of it like they're at different levels, and I just assumed you moved through them. You just like drive through them. I didn't even think about that, but apparently, like the Panama Canal, you have to like enter a thing, and then the water fills up or drops, and when it's at the exact right level, like the doors open. And she's like, "What happens when?" like the water's just an inch off. She's like, well, it won't open. Like it opens by gravity, but it won't open because it's not 1 inch. It's 1 inch across hundreds of miles. And
So
that
it's
1 inch,
gallons and gallons of water.
yeah,
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of gallons. So it has to be at the exact right level to like lock through and get to the next thing. And we think that like, oh, well, it's good enough. And like, sure, sometimes it is good enough. So you have to keep going. So this is the other half of what I would say to somebody is like, okay, is it a wall, or is your fear stopping you? Is something that happened in your past stopping you? So this person was also like, I don't want they have a very hard time like getting an editor or anything, or giving up any part of their thing. So we were talking about getting an assistant. She's like, yeah, I could do that. And I was like, yeah, but like there's something here
Yeah.
that like you could never work with an assistant right now because you would not be able to give up that thing. And so like is your like brick wall an actual brick wall, or are you just not seeing the door because you can't see
Yeah.
the door? And it's important to know that because a lot of people I know are listening to this are not at our level of success. And they're like, well, that's great, guys, but like, I don't know how to get my book to sell. And I'm like, well, okay, like that is a block. Like your book needs to sell if you want to be a full-time author. Like you have to at least make some book sales. So like that is a block, but is it a wall? Or like, is it something inside of you that's preventing you from because like we know, like when I talk to people, oh my God, this is getting so chaos. But like I talk to one of my Hapitalist members often, and she's like, I don't know why I'm having trouble. And every time it comes back to, you know how to grow and you're doing all of these other things. that like you aren't growth. Like you haven't
Yeah.
like you know these growth things and
Yeah.
you're doing everything else. So like why would you grow if you're not doing the things you know growth things? And it's like all a mindset thing.
Yep. Yep. So often people are like, how do I make more money? And I'm like, okay, choose the money.
Right.
And it's like, well, what does that mean? All right, well, let's look at your books. What sells? This book. This sells. Okay. Can that be book one of the series? Like, can you write a series 2.0? Can you write 28 books like that and just do it until you make money? And it's like, just choose the money. Just choose the money. You got a little money and you're excited about it. I mean, that is also part of it, you know. You're excited and you're in love with the idea of writing more like that.
Right.
And it feels right. And I think this is actually easiest when you're at stage one in a business where you've started and you're trying to figure it out. It's harder when you've had a little success
Yeah.
and you want to pivot because you feel like, oh, I don't want to write billionaire romance anymore. It feels stale. I want to write romantasy. I want to write thriller, but I'm scared.
Right.
If you didn't have the fear, you would probably be cheating on your current manuscript with this secret project that's like a thriller, and you'd be taking a thriller class, you'd be meeting other thriller authors, you'd be messaging them and being like, I loved your latest book. This is so good, you know. And you'd be on their email list and you'd be like, oh, okay, this is how they talk to their fans. Like, this is the success they're having. Oh my gosh, it's possible. It's possible for someone. You might not be able to say, oh, it's possible for me.
It's
But if you
possible
say,
for someone, it's
if,
possible for anyone.
if you say it's possible for someone, your brain thinks you're talking about you.
Yeah.
Your brain thinks that you're the only person who exists. In a theory of oneness, that's true. But in duality, if I say something nice about Russell, my mind says, "Oh yeah, that's about me." If I criticize someone and judge them, I'm actually judging and criticizing myself.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
choose the money, and
Yeah.
and this might be small. Denise Duffield Thomas talks about this because it might be you have something on your desk and it's a refund thing. You have to go
Right.
deposit the check, and it's actually an open loop in your mind. And you don't realize it. But as soon as you deposit it, you actually open the flow for more money to come in. It's weird and it's woo woo. But hey, all you have to do is drive to the bank and deposit the check, get it off your desk, and more money comes in. Like, make
Right.
those choices. Say
Right.
yes to the money. Someone compliments you. Say, I accept this. I accept the compliment instead of deflecting it. Why? Because you want more compliments. You want more reviews. You want more acknowledgement. You want to, in that little moment, you're telling your system it's safe to be seen. I can be seen, received, and not die. And that
Yeah.
is massive.
Yeah, that's like the whole, so like that's how you stop tripping your parasympathetic nervous system is
Yeah.
by being showing it that it is safe.
In the
'Cause there's
tiniest way. In the
yes,
tiniest way. I'm working on this.
yes. So have you read The Way Out? So in it, it's all about somatic tracking, which is which they have a whole process for in the book. But the idea is like, huh. I feel anxiety. Like, what? That is interesting because I am safe right now. Why do I feel that way? And then, like, you can journal about it or do other things about it, but just like checking in with your body. And this is a very, like, I check in with my body all the time because I'm an 8. My wife's a 9. She never checks in with her body. She's like, "Did you know this?" And I was like,
She has
one,
to get it up here. She has to read it in a book.
yes.
And it's like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, sure. She's like, have you been talking about this whole time? And I'm like, yes, this is the whole thing. So,
It was the lock. You're up here already. And she's like, oh, now I get it.
yes. And sometimes you just have to be like, my love, we are gonna find it in your time. Like I can only guide. I can only be a guide. But like this is, and because I don't think we've ever talked about the happy compass on this show before, but like this is a great example of like somebody has to pick the right solution to the right problem too. So I had a call with a different Happiness member like a month ago, and she was like, She was actually not a member then. I wrote an article about what am I missing here, and she's like, I have all these, and I've known her for so long. She's like, I hate my books, I hate my this, nothing's working. And I was like, I messaged her. I was like, I don't care if you're a capitalist or not, but like, can we just get on the phone? Because like, I love you and I've known you for a decade, and what's going on? And so we get on the phone, and she's like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. None of it's working. And I'm like, okay, what are you doing that you enjoy? And she's like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. I was like, no, what are the things that you enjoy doing? And she's like, I'm
Yeah.
doing, and I'm like, so what I'm hearing is you're doing nothing that's working. You hate the series you're writing, and you're surprised that nobody is interacting with you, and also that you only wrote a paragraph today. Like those things are, and she's like, she thought she had an income problem because she's like, where's my money? Where's my audience? She didn't have either of those problems. So the happy compass is your problems come in one of four buckets.
Hmm.
Now, it's actually called Be Happy because there's also mindset and embodiment. There's also belief, which is mindset, and embodiment, which is body work. But like those are true for all four of these buckets. So they kind of work outside of it. It's like parentheses, Be Happy. The happy bucket, four buckets that authors have problems in. One, project challenges. That's the H. That's the heart. Two, audience challenges. Project problems are I'm not resonating with my book. My book's not working. People aren't leaving good reviews. My review problem, I have bad reviews for the people that read it, like problems that are intrinsic to the book that
Hmm.
can be fixed for the book.
Okay.
That notice that like a review problem is a heart problem, but most things that are outward facing are one of the other three problems. Two, audience problems. I am not. My audience isn't growing. My audience isn't engaging. I have the wrong audience. I hate my audience. Like, too much of my audience is unsubscribing. Like, this is different from the income blocks, which we'll talk about in a second. Three is prioritization, which is the article Path of Least Friction that I talked about, is like if you have one unit of energy, which most people do, you should be expending it on in the ways that you get the most return on energy investment. And then you can grow from that biggest return. And so it's about picking one big priority, not 1,000 small priorities, and picking right. Then four is income challenges. So income challenges are the opposite of audience challenges. Most people think they have audience income challenges. They really have audience challenges. So income challenge. Not a high enough number of my people are converting. My sales page isn't converting. Enough people aren't opting into my offer. Should I raise the price of my book? Should I take my book out of KU? Should I put my book in KU? These are things that are directly related to money. It has nothing to do with audience. And this is really important because most people are treating audience problems like income problems or prioritization problems like heart problems. This person that I'm talking about did not have the audience problem she thought about or the income problem she thought about. She had a book problem. She was writing the wrong series. So I was like, well, what do you want to write? She's like,
Hmm.
well, I've got 6,000 people on my list. Like, I'd like to write the cozy mystery. And so she's like, I was like, do you care about money? She's like, or do you just want people to read the thing? And she's like, I just want people to read the thing. And I was like, well, you don't have an income problem. In fact, income problems are the opposite of the thing you have because income problems, the almost always the answer to an income problem is to raise prices and make things more exclusive. Like whereas a audience problems answer is lower the cost, make things free. So if you think you have an income problem and you're using income solutions, you are going to do the literal opposite and you'll never fix it. And almost every human, including at least one of us on this call, if not both of us on this call, and almost every author I talk to, successful or not, thinks they have one problem. And so they're trying to solve for this problem, but they have this problem. And if they don't fix this problem won't fix this solution. So income problems don't fix audience problems. Prioritization problems don't fix book problems. But we think that we have, so it is partially the thing you said and the thing I said, but also we have to understand where our real problem is, where our real biggest problem is, and then use the solutions that actually are meant to fix that problem. Like if you have a book problem, you need to rewrite the book. Write a different book. Like there's no other option. Like it doesn't matter how many people get in front of you. You can't send a donkey book to 1 million people and get a positive ROI. Literally nothing will get you a positive ROI on a book that like doesn't already have some traction. Almost nothing. I mean, you can force it, but then you'll be getting very bad returns. And like maybe you're okay with that and that's fine. But like if you choose the money, you would say, well, this book, this series is the one that's working. So maybe I should put 95% of my money here. I can still write whatever book that I want. But like if I'm putting out a book that is not resonating with people, I can't expect more people to resonate with it unless I completely change my audience. And then you have a different problem. So if you, depending on where your bucket of problems are, the solutions are evident. But we have to be able to see, oh, crap. I have a prioritization problem, not an income problem. Like my priorities are all out of whack. I'm doing too many things, not enough of the things that work, or whatever that is. And so that's a big part of like that I think has been missing from this conversation. Not just this conversation, just like the overall conversation of authorship.
Because that works at every level. You can kind of run it through. If you're brand new, if you've written a book or 5 and you're like, well, how do I make money? Or if you're in later stages where you've made some money, but it feels like golden handcuffs, which you want to avoid that because then you're like, I have all this money and I'm not happy.
Yeah. So like that's something to think about. And we'll talk to you on the next episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I know this is going to feel really abrupt, but like we have our interview finally got here. And so like we're going to go do that now.
Yay!
See you in that episode. All right.
Thanks for listening. For more, head on over to sixfigureauthorexperiment.com for archive access, resources, and more. We'll see you next time.